Welcome to Growing Dads.
Where I'm Kleph.
And I'm Rich. And
we're Growing Dads. We're discussing everything growing dads want to know and growing families, no matter how your family is constructed.
Growing Dads is all about inspiring all individuals with real-life topics, creating change, and talking through open dialogue. Growing Dads starts in 3,
2,
1.
Yes, sir. That was your impression?
Yeah, I can. My lips doesn't move like all that shit.
What's going on? Welcome back.
Another week.
Another week. Yes. Hello, everyone.
Man. So, I know this is not an advertisement piece, but I do have to give a shout out.
Go ahead.
I was at Harper's Cafe.
Okay.
Where's in that? West Orange.
Okay.
Some of the best coffee that you will have. Period.
Harper's Cafe. Okay.
Go out there, go get your espresso, a latte. Don't go in there with a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts cup.
No, you can't disrespect the brand like that.
You'll get stickered.
Slapped.
Shout out to them over there at Harper's Cafe, man. They're really doing some stuff that black owned, and I really appreciate the ground beans. Like, it's different. Like I used to just like don't care and put the coffee in water, but there's really an art to that shit.
Old coffee is not the same.
So
not the same.
I didn't know that.
Now you do.
Yeah. So yeah.
So what's going on, everyone? Talk to me. It's a lot that happened since the last time that we came through.
100%.
Yes.
I can't wait to have the kids back. Did they figure out how many condoms were they putting on?
They're on vacation right now. I'm going to probably hear some stories.
So,
it's so good, though.
Can't wait to have them back.
Yeah.
What we're going to actually do in that episode is go through the teaching part. And what we did last time was just kind of talk to Nathan and Micah, Kleph's boys, 12 and 14 years old. It was great to have them in and just really get their perspective. But what we're going to look to do is kind of give them the learning aspect of us digesting it. And I think you should definitely have open dialogue with your kids and enjoy talking to them, even if certain things are uncomfortable, and it's all right. But you also got to be as open enough to allow them to be uncomfortable and comfortable with you.
Right, in a situation. Yeah, that's why, when we were going through the episode, I was just sitting down and just listening and absorbing.
That's
It was a lot.
All right, my bad. I'll stop doing
that. And that's not going to be edited out.
Excuse me.
Live. But but it was cool. It was really cool seeing that and just hearing them talk, and definitely want more. We're definitely going to hear more.
So we're going to get into hot topics.
Yep.
The two hot topics that we're getting into is it just released today. The Roe versus Wade has been overturned. What that means to you in terms of parenting is that now the government is allowing the states to choose the right if abortion is going to be legal
or illegal.
Right. In your state. So if you don't vote, you better get the fuck up out there and go vote, because
things gonna be changed.
Because you think you vote for fucking Trump or Biden, you're a fool.
Yeah.
Like, you're voting for your local legislation and those laws that affect you in your county, in your state, and it affects your family. So,
and that's why it's important to go to those meetings. I was never aware of that. As far as my experience coming up, I've never seen my parents go to the town meetings or those different things going on. But it's very good because you'll get to know who the different members are in your local political area, and make sure that the right people are in place and the things that you want, whether if it's in schools, the roads, taxes, at least your voice is being heard and what you want is being accomplished. So make sure you attend. Go ahead.
I never, the funny thing is,
I don't know if. You know what? Don't even matter. I was about to say I don't know if people really care about going to their local municipalities and governments to really understand how their money's being used. So, for example, when you say Roe versus Wade, well, how does that affect me? Well, if you have a child and you have a daughter, or you have a son,
yeah.
right, and they're having sex, the outcome of sex, right, when it's heterosexual.
Somebody might be dropping
So
a child.
right, so you have to pay attention to this. And now here goes the thing: if it's illegal in your state, crossing border lines,
Yeah.
there's gonna be a lot of things that come from this. And I think you should pay very close attention to what your state is going to be looking to do. I think what is also infringing on is women's rights, and the minute that a child is conceived,
Right.
her rights are now revoked. You agree? I mean, I know we got into this before,
Yeah.
but do you agree with what's going on? Honestly.
See, I do believe that the woman should always have a right. The child does have a right also. So with this, that's a very challenging question. But do I agree? No,
You don't agree?
no.
We all were kids, so I think there are different. I think there could be different ways to attack, and I'm saying attack on purpose. I think there's different ways that we can attack this legal matter, and we ain't gonna spend that much time on it. But I think there's different ways that we attack this legal matter in this situation, more than just saying, okay, to hell with women's rights, specifically in this area. I don't know what the majority of states are going to look at to be more, conservative or more liberal. Honestly, I think it's probably going to be like 60-40 or 70-30. I don't know how much it's going to really alter. It's just going to be. I think we got some time to see this come through, and we should dive into it a little bit more because we talked about it before. So whenever you get a chance, make sure you go out and go pay attention to that. The next hot topic.
Next hot topic.
The next hot topic is, and I'm gonna kick this over to you, and then after that, you can let us know what we're about to go into for the day.
Yeah.
In Ohio, it was approved that they're going to have, they're going to allow school officials to be armed. Do you agree?
No. In terms of if it's a trained police officer or someone that is, knows how to properly mitigate a situation and properly use the, right techniques to do everything and handle the whatever problems is handled, fine. Put in a gun in a teacher's hand who is a teacher or someone that's not used to that exposure of, just how to control crowds and how to mitigate situations, that I can foresee being problematic. Some people are scary, and
What do you mean scary?
meaning that they flinch at everything. Well, it's like shoot first, act later type mindset. So, again, someone having been trained and properly trained, whether it's a hired official or whatever, that's one thing.
Don't you think that it would be? I'm assuming it'll be somebody that was trained, obviously, but I also think that it'll be a deterrent to people that want to shoot up a school or threaten to harm kids. So, in that, I get where they're going. It's risk mitigation. You know what I mean? To me, sure, let somebody be armed. Now, the only thing is making sure the person that's armed is not loco. You know what I mean? So what you're trying to mitigate, as long as we don't have issues within the school with the people being those people being a little erratic. Well, you can't even be a little erratic, but that's just them being,
Well, first we got to break it down what the guidelines are going to be for that. Like, is it going to be something where each school district or each school gets to...
Well, this is just in Ohio, but...
Right. But I'm sure that eventually it starts out as like a pilot in one location, and then others start catching on. But it's just understanding like how that's going to go if that situation works out. Because I wouldn't want my child to be in school and the person who is carrying, I don't know, anything could happen. Say some kids decided to jump him or whatever and try to take the gun. I'm just saying something out there you don't think could happen. Or a crowd, there's a school game and there's a crowd, and other schools may be coming, other characters may be coming, and now this armed person is now seen as like, all right, we want to get what he has. You never know, depending on where you are, what location you are, the mindset of the area and
that's
the people.
interesting.
So it's that's why I said if the person who is going to be designated in that office to say like, yes, they're a licensed firearm holder in the school and they're there to help to protect.
I mean, I think that's all they're doing though. I mean, because listen, Columbia, if I'm not mistaken, we had Officer Mike there. Pretty sure he had a gun on him all the time too.
Now here's and that's, but from how I'm understanding this, it would be teachers. They were saying like if teachers or certain officials of the school.
That's interesting too.
Faculty.
Because now like, I get it. If there's a big crowd, there's a situation, you don't know if somebody's getting hurt. If it's a turn or becomes actually a weapon of.
I think they should just leave it up to the officials. I don't think guns even should be in the school.
I think that the police department should actually have
like an outpost or
like a department that deals with just the school.
Okay.
So you're trained. You go in. You have to learn to deal with kids.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's a different way to police because as kids are growing up, like when you're getting into the middle school, they're a little weird, and then high school, they're extra weird, but they have a little bit. Hopefully, they have a little bit more sense than the middle schoolers at times.
Yeah.
But it allows. I think it helps build a temperament. So when you do go out there, I'm dealing with an adult. I've dealt with school kids. I'm a little more refined. You know what I mean? I think, but you can't really be there to sit there and flash. But I mean, that's the hot topic piece of it.
Yeah, and we'll talk on that more. But I do think that would be you made a good point as far as to say like have a specific area or police department that handles the schools.
Right.
Because even with what happened in Ohio, just the way that they went to resolve it and the reaction time from when the first call was made to when.
Oh, in Texas.
In Texas, yes.
Right.
How many, over an hour or about an hour, something like that? So
yeah, before you even made a move. Right?
Yeah, that's crazy. So yes, I do think, and this is where we were speaking earlier, with the local laws and knowing your local political officials, these ideas and these things is where us as citizens and the constituents, we voice what we want to see happen, and it will be them as the local officials to start to put those things into actions to try to have it done. So that's the hot topic.
Hot topic is brought to you by Taking Bigger Steps. Taking Bigger Steps is
an online marketplace. All right. So right now, Taking Bigger Steps actually just partnered with Ethos Life Insurance. That's now insurance tech. That's an insurance tech company, and they're doing some big things. There's opportunities that they have there.
Talk to them. Like, what is insurance tech?
Insurance tech is a new platform using technology to mitigate insurance. The way that insurance...
When you say mitigate, what do you mean? I know what mitigation means.
Yeah.
to prevent, right?
Yeah. So in terms of the mitigation, preventing certain delays in time. So for instance, with Ethos Life, all right, everything is done online, and within 10 minutes you can have an actual insurance policy. There's no.
Is it cheaper?
Yes, and there's no.
Significantly?
It is. Insurance does vary based on a person's age and the sex and.
Is this life
conditions.
insurance?
This is life insurance. That's correct.
So this is not auto. This is not home renter's insurance.
Right, we're talking about life insurance. Now they do also offer other products such as home insurance and so forth. But there's opportunities that they have there.
So make sure you guys take your time out. If you don't have life insurance, I suggest you definitely get some life insurance. It's important for you and your family. Life insurance is not for you. It is for your kids and your loved ones so that they can take care of themselves after you pass, and the money that you used to generate, now when you're gone, you have that generating to keep them afloat or to continue to push them forward. I will go on to taking bigger steps.
Take a look, Ethos Life.
Ethos Life.
Yep. And there's opportunities there as far as
look.
agents. Take a look, learn. Any questions, reach out, and someone will be in contact with you to provide you with more details. But
Appreciate you.
Taking bigger steps, we appreciate you guys over there.
So what are we getting into today?
All right, so today we're going to get into where should you live, and how important is the education there in terms of public schools, private schools. All right, so the first thing is where you want to live. How do you go about deciding where you want to live? What factors is it that you look for when making that decision? And then also for those parents out there, and even if you're not a parent, if you're looking to become a parent, as far as schooling, the education for your offspring, all right?
Offspring.
Public school, private school, how do you decide? So we're going to dive into that.
A lot of my offspring went into the toilet. And into plastic bags. Well, not plastic bags, but like,
I get you.
Yeah. And on body parts. Oh shit, my kids might be listening to this. Yo, but guess what? You guys did it.
Haven't we all? Haven't we all?
So, the interesting you brought this up because I think it's Cass and I was actually going back and forth about this the other day, just talking about where's the best place to live, what are you looking for to live, and I think most parents, when you have kids, it's all financial. It's all financial. You want them to have a great education, you want them to go to school, but it's based off of what you can afford. And so the first thing is, I think, how most people look at it until you have kids, and I think you should be looking at this before you have kids.
You have to.
Is you're in an apartment, you're going to go to a house, or are you okay with raising your... I think the first thing is this, apartment or house, right? Are you okay with raising your family in an apartment? The apartment allows you to do no yard work. It's minimal effort. You turn the key, you come in, you clean your house, you close the door, and you walk out. Now, having a house is completely different, right? So here, where should we live? Typically, the area that if you come out, you got to do yard work, you got to do front yard, backyard, side yard, and then it's how much can you afford? And typically, they say renting is cheaper than owning, but in reality, owning is just the upfront cost to get into it, but there's also the maintenance cost, right? So it's really based on what you could afford to me when you're thinking about that. Now, when you look at schools are directly attached to the housing market. So if you have a house that's, say, $400,000 in a good area, you may be paying anywhere, say, from 8, right? I'm giving you a ballpark figure, right? So from 8 to, say, 12, maybe $12,000 a year based on where it's located. So now you're looking at how much is $400,000 going to get me? Right.
I think not I wouldn't say think more people I would say would look more in their monthly spend and what they can afford monthly, and not everybody has that opportunity to say that, okay, can I decide, I have the option to decide if I want to live in a house or if I want to live in an apartment. I think just based on the circumstances that you're in, some people just have, this is what I can afford. They might start out renting a room. Then depending on how,
but if you're having
economics is going.
All right, so let's keep this as the family perspective. If you're having kids and you have 1 or 2 kids, the first thing you should know is where do you want to grow your family to? Because if you know that, hey, listen, I want 2 or 3, 4 kids, whatever. Once you pick that number, I'm not saying for you to stay in the number. Accidents happen, right? But once you know that number, then you could say, okay, listen, either renting or apartment. Let's just say $400,000, a $400,000 house.
Okay.
You have to put 3.5% down for a FHA. So that means it's $3,500 per 100,000. So what that means is for a $400,000 house, you have to come up with $14,000 up front, right? And then you have your closing costs and other things that go into it. Perfectly fine. Typically what happens, right? First month's rent, let's just say it's $3,000. All right, it's $2,500. First month's rent, last month's rent, $5,000, right? Security deposit. It looks like half, but you don't get the money back at the end. For the first 5 years, you don't get the money back in terms of housing when you're buying. That's why I think it's a little bit tough for people to choose. But if you know that you want your kids to be in a neighborhood, you want your kids to experience X, Y, or Z, whatever community you're in, what type of diversity it is, what type of, as we were talking about, educational system it is, all those need to be taken into factor once you decide, okay, now I'm going to live here. Because now that's where the cost comes in. You agree or don't agree?
No, I it's more dynamic than that. Even coming down to the type of financing, providing that person is in that position to be able to say like, yes, I can afford a house, or I'm bringing enough income and my income is steady enough, and yes, I want to take this dive. Then it goes into the factors of their credit. It goes into because more than likely, they're going to get a loan, because more than likely they may not have all the money up front to just say, hey, I can afford to just pay down and buy this house. So with them having to get the loan, the credit factors, the financial factors, in terms of what
lifestyle factors,
that would determine, okay, I could afford to live up in Essex County, or all right, I want to have a better quality of life for my kids, or I want to have.
You want to go on trips. You want to be able to. You want a little bit. You want to stretch money. You want your money to stretch.
Right. And wanted maybe a little more. You don't want to be in such a clustered environment. You want them to have space, so you might have to go a little bit further away from the Essex County, and we're using this as an example
right,
here,
so
but in a city area.
Yeah, more from the densely populated areas to more of the rural / suburban areas, and then from there it's a rural. So typically how it is, it's inner cities, urban,
suburban,
rural, subrural, rural, West Bumblefuck. And honestly, where the schools are typically the worst, inner cities, blacks, Latinos.
Minorities for the most part.
Do you know, by the way, there's a difference between Hispanic and Latino?
Teach them.
Hispanic means that you're from Spain, and Latino means that you're of Latin descent.
Okay.
Most people most people put it together. Don't know shit. If you don't know, now the fuck you know, motherfuckers.
Well, keeping in mind,
But
it's the same thing even with us.
I tell Cass all the time. It don't matter if you're Hispanic or Latino. Mm-hmm. You create his panic for me, nigga. You're his panic. Yeah, you're my panic, nigga. Right, yeah, that shit was trash. Right. But yeah,
okay,
you're a fucking dick.
Yeah.
But typically, and then as you start to go out into the the suburbs,
mm-hmm.
the costs are higher, but the educational system is better.
So wait, come back with that again?
Inner cities.
Yeah.
Typical blacks, Latinos, hence the education piece of it.
No, the last part, we're going out to rural areas. You said it gets more expensive.
No. So in terms of cost, right?
Yeah.
It's cheaper in the inner city.
It depends. No, because I get where you're going, but closer to the town, more populated areas, the cost is usually higher because you're paying for the convenience of being, like, if you're living closer to New York
inner
or
city. Is
Okay.
Hoboken an inner city or a suburb or urban area?
That would be I would consider it an inner city.
It's an urban area.
It's urban.
100%.
Okay.
Jersey City
Urban.
depends on where you go.
Okay.
Newark.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the rating of Newark schools. Yo, we
That
actually got.
I wouldn't know. I would have to do some research on that. But see, that's another thing.
That's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the rating of a West Orange school.
Mm-hmm.
Do you look as a parent? Do you look at ratings? Does that mean something to you?
For me, yes.
So ratings mean something to you. Why?
Because it determines the quality of education my kids will have.
Based on it by who? Not people that look like you, though.
Okay.
And I think the same way, like, listen, I went to school in Maplewood, South Orange, and I was talking to my boy Glass. Glass, what's up? And we were talking about, the education we got was so unique, and that's why it was so influential that it was integrated, but the educational piece of it was not an Irvington of that time. It wasn't Newark at the time. It was top 10 in the state. But it felt like an urban school because of the levels that they put people in.
Okay. Go a little deeper levels in terms of.
So the levels were based on your learning capabilities, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, or AP.
Okay.
And how it was ranked is based on your learning capabilities. Say AP or level 5 learns things at a faster rate. Level 4 learns things at a different rate. And level 3 is moderate. And level 2 is you're dumb, but that's where the black people were. So you almost were in an environment that, not all the black people, but it's just you learned slower. But that's where I saw most black people anyway.
I wouldn't agree with that.
Part of me,
I don't agree with that. But
listen, for science, I was in level 2.
But that's just you. That's just you. You maybe were better at math than science, so you were maybe better at
I was, but
so,
I'm just. They went to it was positioned because they got sued later for this.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, maybe South Orange got sued because it was systemic racism.
Okay.
So they positioned it as, hey, your learning capabilities are here. Hey, you're level 4 for this. You're level 3 for the most class, but this one, we need. But they had to take an assessment for it. So long story short, do you look at those things? I think it's 100% sure you should look at it because you're not the person that's going to be teaching your kids that. Now, I don't think that there's a difference between. There's a big difference between schools. I think teachers have all the right intentions, but the thing is, not all teachers teach the same, and not all school districts can be funded the same based off of tax dollars.
Yeah, not all school systems are funded the same. So yeah, you're right. So
and like where we live, 50% of the taxes go back to the school.
Okay.
That's interesting when you sit there and you just look at it. 50% goes back to the school. It's not that the schools do the things the right way, but most of the money is being poured back into the kids. So then that's why the property values and all those things stay where they are. You're never necessarily losing or skating or pushing back. Because if you're always in a good school system, people are always going to want to put their kid in that school system anyway. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
And that's where it comes back when I was even mentioning earlier about your local government, because based on the officials in your local government and how they decide how the tax money gets allocated between road work, between schools, police, and so on. So if you're not mindful of who that is and you just overlook that and only pay attention to when it's a presidential race or that level of politics in your knowledge or involvement of it, but have a less or lack of knowledge of your local officials, these things does affect that. But yeah, as a person looking to purchase a house and knowing that they want to have kids, that is something that is looked into. And if you're not even looking to purchase a house, if you're saying, well, look, I do want to rent, but again, you still know that you want to have kids, yes, looking into the level and quality of that school education is going to be very
and then
important.
maybe where you want to be. Are you okay with moving? Like, I think we were having this conversation on the way down. Do you think it's good to work a job? And this is just a rhetorical question. It's not for him to really answer, but working a job and getting paid versus owning your business and setting it up so that you could look at things differently in terms of, okay, I have my business and this is how we're going to have it run. You can pick up and move your family anywhere for them to see different lifestyles. How it isn't due to my job, I was able to go to Cali. I know what it's like in Cali. I know what it's like in Jersey. Fucking Cali's expensive as shit. Fucking $15 for a fucking gallon of gas and a gallon of milk. Might as well put them both shits together. The way that shit looks. But I like the weather. I like what it has. Been to Florida too. I remember when
That's a different heat though. Yeah. That heat down there is different than the Cali's heat.
But the education system, I mean, not saying it's worse, but it's not the same. Like New Jersey, New York, like we have. The Northeast has like one of the best school systems based on population and density. Mm-hmm. And plus, we're the smartest fuck up here.
Jersey pride.
Yeah. I mean, we're progressive anyway.
But this is the thing. This is the thing with it. No matter where you are, what state you are in, where you're listening from, your local government, your schools, you as a parent looking where you want to go, you're gonna have to just do research. You're never gonna get be able to tick off all the boxes. So you are gonna also have to settle with some level of sacrifice. Meaning to say, well, all right, do I live in a higher income bracket area, just so that I can make sure that my child is going to be able to go to like a really top tier school, because that's what's really important to me? Or am I going to just say, all right, the public school systems or the school systems that's in this area, it's okay, it works. But because of my livelihood and where my I'm earning, I have to be within this area, and I'm not going to do the commute thing. Whatever. I'm just trying to explain that there's going to be different dynamics in selecting where you live. And then within that, you're going to have different choices in terms of, or the selection of choices of schools and educational outlets for the child. Because it might turn out that a parent might say, well, look, I'll do homeschooling. Or now with the way that technology has advanced, just being able to connect them to online tutors, or it's just more dynamic where there's more resources where they can have that. So
homeschool, fuck. Nigga, we just got out of homeschool. That's what fuck COVID was.
but but this is the thing though. You got to keep in mind too, like the dynamic of pretty much society has changed since COVID, and the pivot that companies and all of us is people had to do and make. So now, we have a little bit more flexibility in how we move and a little bit more options in what we can choose. So a person, a parent might say, well, look, I want to be a stay-at-home dad. And I can do that because the kind of business I have, I can work remotely. Or I have my own business and I could do this. Or I work for a company. It changes.
Or
and that might be
mom
or stay-at-home mom or whatever. So I'm just trying to say that it's very dynamic. But the main thing is, as we're talking here, is just to say, like, being mindful of the other parties and players, being mindful of the child, being mindful of the type of...
I'm sorry. Some girls have stay-at-home dogs. Oh. I'm not talking about pets. I'm talking about niggas that sit on the fucking couch. I'm done. I'm sorry. You see, my mind be fucked up.
I see. Yeah.
Some people have stay-at-home cats too.
Kitty purr. Yeah, but yeah. So it's we'll touch back on that again.
So do you like private school, or do you like the idea of private school? They range anywhere between like $8,000 to upward to $20,000 a year.
I like the idea of it. You get what you pay for, and
you get what you pay for with public school too.
Not the same way. Because as we were speaking earlier, with the way funding works with public schools, and if you're in a town or a location where your city officials or the people that the money filters through the offices, if they're not properly allocating the money might be coming in through the tax revenue, through the different sources, but if certain certain amounts of funding isn't going to these schools in this area because the zip code here in Hudson County is of one caliber, but the zip code in this other area in Hudson County is of a higher caliber, so the funds get allocated more toward them. So if you look at Bayonne High School, and then you compare Bayonne High School to its neighboring high schools, look at the difference in what they have, the structure, the facility, the programs. The money's coming in, but how the money gets allocated, it's different. Whereas a private school now, you get what you pay for. You know that, look, I'm paying this amount of money, but this is the curriculum that my child is going to learn, and this is the exposure that they're going to get. This is the group of network that they're going to be connected to in terms of,
people,
the people that who knows who,
parenting,
and parents, all of that. So yes, they pay a little bit more up front in a sense to say that, all right, I'm paying $8,000, $10,000, $20,000 a year or semester for my child, but the investment of that, the return on the back end, the child getting that is going to give them a better trajectory than if public school. And
I think so. Think about this: you want a nice house.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to pay for the area, but you're going to send your kids to public school. To private school. You're almost being, let's just say you have two kids, you're almost being triple taxed because you're not sending them to public school, number one.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you have a nice, your crib may be a little further away, there's the soft costs that come into it. The actual hard cost is the two kids going to, but you're not looking at the gas, you're not looking at the time that you're spending to get them there. It's probably a little further out than the other. So that's why, it's localized. And I think parents, I'm going to be upfront with you. You have to really look at where you were as a child, where you are currently right now as an adult, and make a decision where you want to take your kids. And if you feel education, or if you feel experiences, maybe traveling the world, or if you feel that, I want to buy my kid everything I ever wanted, whatever that you deem important, then you have to start making those choices, because that's when the dominoes are gonna fall, right? In a good way. Like, hey, I want my kid to travel. Okay, what does an excursion look like? Number one, what does the destination that you want to take them to? Or you just want to travel in domestic, or do you want to travel internationally? What are the costs for that? Is that your level of education may say, you know, I'm okay with my kid going to so school, but them traveling the world, they get a different perspective.
Definitely. But again, that is on the individuals that have access to that option.
Listen,
not
a
everybody could do that.
passport's like $250, bro. People be spending that shit on some fucking J's, and they spend it on fucking liquor, like everything. I told this shit to Cass, by the way, right? I walked up to her and I said, you could do whatever the fuck you want to do, you just choose not to. And I gave her she told me my analogy was trash, but it wasn't. I told her, if I wanted to do right now, I'm not, and I don't condone this, I said, I could slap the shit out of you right now. She's like, you'll never do that shit. No, I won't. But if I wanted to, I could. No, you won't. That's not the point. The point is, I can. I'm not a woman beater, by the way. I just want you to understand. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do.
It's
It's
an
just
analogy,
that you.
but it's true. Yeah, whatever decision you make,
you're choosing. There's a consequence. There's a situation, and then are you able? The consequence is not yours. There's a situation. The thing is, are you able to deal with the ramifications after? And that's not the consequence becomes a muddy area.
But the consequence will be yours, though. So when you say the consequence won't be yours, no, anything that you do, you're going to be held accountable to some extent. You know, whether you get caught or not, you're going to, you know, there's something there. But this is the thing.
You can do a long story. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. You just choose to put restraints on what you think is beneficial or not.
It's what you prioritize and value. Yes,
100%. So she pissed me off, and so I put cold water in the cup, and she was taking a shot through that shit out. You fucking right. She was in there like. She was like, you wouldn't do it. I said, see, now this is the point. This is why I do it, because I don't care. So now we be having wars and shit. Like, she be putting mouse traps and shit on the floor when I wake up.
Oh, y'all are bugging.
Yeah. So fuck that.
Bunch of pranksters, but it's cool. That's what keep the love cool and
She don't love me. She
but
said she let me. Believe me.
But you know, looking at it, not everyone really is in that position. Some people are living paycheck to paycheck. They do have a family, things that's going on, so they do the best they can. And this is going into the next segue into where we're going with this, in terms of the next thing was growing pains, you know. And growing pains, it's not just for the child. You know, there's different, it's also for the parent, because there's the sacrifice that a parent has to make to be able to provide and do. Whether if it's the sacrifice of time and research to figure out where you want to live, knowing your local, you know, political figures and the offices and how your township works, so you know how to be influential.
You said something right there. Sorry. You said something where you're like, doing the research.
Yeah.
If you're not doing the research, don't say shit.
Yeah, a lot of people are lazy. They're just there, and they just take what comes along to them,
because,
you know, as opposed to...
Because you got to look at the research, as you said, for the cost, the research for where you're at, the research. But if you want something, walk into that Board of Education, or walk into the information for walk into the school, or schedule some time. Look at the kids in the classrooms, dude. You want your kids around that. Look at the situation, like what's being poured into them. I think, like, being up front, me and Cass are going through growing pains now.
Bro, it never ends. Like there's not this, like, all right. Even when a parent has they had their children, the child grows up, and there's no more like, all right, I gotta be your provider and protector, you're out on your own. There's still the as you said, the soft cost for the parent. There's that concern, like, you know, just, you know, are they okay? And
it just changes.
And this, yeah, it just shifts. but there's always, because you love the person, and you know, and so there's always going to be something going on. And you know, when I was younger and I first got my driver's license, like later on, I found out, but you know, my mom would tell me that, you know, she used to pray a lot because of different things going on, and you know, kids out on the road and this and that and everything, and I never thought anything of it. She was going through her worry, growing pain, or you know, parenting concern thing. But now I have my oldest son is in high school now, and it's just like, all right, I'm approaching what she's gone through and what they've gone through when I was now getting ready to drive or in that position, and I'm already thinking of my oldest son getting ready to be, you know, be licensed up and driving, and it's just like, all right, you know what I mean, I'm already thinking of, you know, certain people in the car, and you know, teaching them or showing them certain things, you know, because you know, they're young, they get around stuff, their attention span is not there, the level of experience, like so many things could happen, and we always hope for the best and want the best, but it's a real world out there and stuff happen. And a lot of things happen by accident where it wasn't intended, but it was an accident. But now where I'm going with that is to say, like, the growing pain, like that's like a growing pain that's slowly evolving on me, and it's not like I'm worried, because at the end of the day, I just, you know, I pray, ask God, cover them, and I just, you know, go. I can't hold my thoughts and consciousness like stressed out or worried up, or you know what I mean.
I get you.
So like
It just shifts.
It just shifts.
It just shifts.
So we all are gonna always go through growing pains, but that's the beautiful part about it. Go
I
ahead.
think the growing pains also, when you're looking for where you should live,
Yeah.
is you got to stretch yourself too, right? Because we have a thought process or an ideal state, right? Let's just say, hey, I've always wanted my kid to go here. I wanted them to do these extracurricular activities. There's gonna come to a point where you can't make all those things, right? And it's similar to now where, you know, we have the kids. Bray's doing soccer, Brooke is doing basketball, Gabby's doing volleyball. Waiting for Brayson says he wants to do track. Like all these things. Listen, I just named 4.
Yeah.
The baby hasn't even got to tummy time. Well, he's starting to walk.
I know.
So as you sit there and you start thinking about it, we can't. I was up front. We can't be at everything. Or listen, I might be at your shit half the time, and I'm gonna be out because everybody needs that support and that time. And the growing pain part of it, and I think a lot of people don't do in a relationship, or they don't think about, is there's a shift that comes from when it's just you two to kids. Definitely. And what happens a lot in relationships is where you live, right, is how involved you are in the community, and the schooling piece of it too, right? It's how involved you are in the community, meaning friends. But to make the growing pains even a little bit harder, you have the community is really for your kids. You're a part of it and you're facilitating it, but you and your spouse are kind of to the side because you're showing a child how to live and interact within a community, but you guys gotta live and interact in a community as well.
Right. And then and you're correct when you said like you'll go to the side, because now you have to observe everything that you've put in terms of parenting and teaching and molding and rearing. Now you move to the side, as you said, and you watch them, you observe them, how they are when they're at the sports events that they're participating in. How are they when it's the school functions, and you see and you sit and observe, and then you go in and you tweak and you adjust, and that's not how you do that. When you walk into a room, make sure that you address everyone hello, and as you didn't, or you know what I mean, and kind of just. But you do take it from more of a hands-on direct at one point to the advisory board at another point, and pointing in here and there.
It's like Nathan said last week. He was like, yo, listen, I only talk to the girls that talk to me. Mm-hmm. I understand that, but that's not how. It ain't gonna. That's a little different, but that's not how it works. You know what I mean? Like, you got to talk to a lot of people. Like just as you said, you walk in the room, you only talk to your friends. One of the biggest life-changing moments for me is I was in a room full of people I was cool with, and shout out to my man Pat. I'm just keep it like that. Changed my life. Mm-hmm. Man, sitting down, we sit there, have a real intimate conversation during my birthday party. Real good conversation. And it's like, yo, you never know. And I always said this, you never know who you're going to meet. And the thing is, here goes the two things that I always want to teach my kids, part of it. It's, nobody cares about who you know. But for you, it's definitely who you know. And
who knows you?
And who knows you? And when you get your foot in the door, mm-hmm. nobody cares about necessarily who you know. Then it's what you know. Mm-hmm. Most people say it's what you know, then it's who you know. Well, you can know the fucking everything in the world, but if you can't get your foot in the door,
it doesn't matter.
It don't matter.
Life is dynamic.
Right.
Life is not one thing. I was listening to a video the other day, and it was a brain surgeon, and he was explaining how like thoughts work in the energy and how that moves, and when they put the pods, or they put the sensors on the brain on the head, that cap, and they measure the brain waves. He was saying that they can actually see on a monitor your thought before you even say it. And he was explaining that thoughts move like a school of fish. It's not just a bing bing, like ping pong back and forth thing. Things grow in you, it evolves.
Depression.
Thoughts, that's gonna be a whole other.
Yo, listen, we're gonna have to get Dr. Davina Thomas back in here to talk. Like, if we can, we're gonna have to talk to her about what's going on. Circle back. I agree with you, because when you said hardships, you said, listen, school of thoughts, bringing that all together. Mm-hmm. If you really don't have that vision of saying, hey, this is where we got to take this family, because after a while, you're either going to pay now or later. It don't matter. You're going to pay.
You're going to pay, yeah.
And then you circle back and you say what? You know what I mean? All right, now this is the tactics. And everybody gets frustrated a little bit in tactics part of it, because I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what you want to do. Where you're going to get the hardships. And you said the pain point. The hardship is an execution.
It takes a lot. Yeah, to think of something is easy. Everybody has thoughts, but yes, to be able to say, I'm going to proactively initiate and execute, that takes a different level of, all right, I'm actually getting up and doing something. I'm not just talking about it. And there's a commitment in that. But yeah, and where we're going early with the thought process and how the thoughts move was to show and point out that things change, and because life is dynamic, you have to be open to adapt and adjust. Yes, you can have your main goal to say, like, this is where I want to live, this is what I want my kids to be, what I would like for them to have. I mean, even just now you pointed out certain things where this one will do this one will do that, but you might come to find out that they don't like that. They started that sport, but now they don't like it. So now you have to adjust.
No, we ain't adjusting. You start that shit, you finish that shit, then we adjust.
And if that be the case, that'll be fine. But now you have to, in planning for the next step, to say, okay, so they're not going to go to football no more. They're not participating, or they're not playing the violin no more. It's going to be something new. Whether if it's, yes, I'll play another instrument, or if it's, you know what, I want to take music and pause for now, and I want to lean more into something else, which I've experienced.
You hit the nail right on that. Let your kid experience every fucking thing, period.
Yeah, the more exposure they get, that's always going to be the best. They'll be more developed and more cultured in a sense. They could handle more and deal with more, and just be that much more effective. So, bringing this all back around, the advice that, I put out there for parents when you're making that decision to decide on your lifestyle for yourself or your family, you have to always be adjustable and flexible and adaptable to not only where you want to live, and in terms of what type of education system that you put them in, because you might say, look, I want them to go to this particular type of school or study this, but it might turn out that that's not what is going to be the best for them or where their passions lie. And you don't want to be that parent that just tries to live precariously through your child, where you're setting them up because, okay, you didn't have this, you wanted that, whatever it may be. So you're like basically plotting out their whole life, and you're trying to model it off of what is comfortable to you. You have to give them that ability to be them. The best thing you can do, as we all could do, is just make sure we provide that fertile ground. And part of that is, again, adapting and adjusting, learning and growing. Yes, you work within your means. I could only afford this. I could only afford to live here. Okay, you could only go, public schools for now, or whatever it may be. But as you're having a time with the child and parenting, you're learning them, understand them, and make those tweaks. You might find that they're interested in something, and you can actually, a local church or the YMCA or so might have these programs that, okay, they don't need to go to, this, they can have it right here, swimming, whatever. But yeah, so that's.
I think great points. You said, hey, if you need to live within your means, live within your means.
Right.
My advice is to first find your ideal state. Fuck living within your means. I'm gonna say this a little differently. If you want to go to, I suggest you look at where you're at right now and your ideal state. So if you want to go from here, for example, and you want to live, obviously, in the Hollywood mansions. Okay, well, how the hell are you going to get there? That's the point I'm going to reel in is go look and see how much it costs to live there. You might be surprised. You may be paying, say, $2,500, $2,800 in rent. Go up there and find out it's $3,800. And you may be tossing around $1,000 in sushi and going out to the club, and you can really be living where you actually want to.
The research.
So here you go, research. The first thing is to do is budget. You're in your own mind. Take all the money you got and look at it. Go into your bank account for a month. Plot these 5 things. Your rent or your mortgage, your utilities, your car and insurance, your food.
All your overheads, whatever it be. If you have,
and your phone.
Okay.
After that, your utilities I put in one because it can vary whether you're in a house or if you're in an apartment, right? So those 5 things.
And invest. You gotta pay yourself first.
Right, but you take those 5 things out. How much do you have left? Now where am I spending it?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then okay, do I want to stay where I'm at or do I want to go here? Right? If you go there, here goes the trick. Let's just say you were able to get to your Hollywood Hills for a little extra money.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to be strapped, hence the hardship and the pain shit. Don't complain when you're there, because that's what you wanted. What you do now is your kid's going to benefit off of being there, but you got to also learn how to adjust to being there, because honestly, you were okay just anywhere you were, right? So now, let's say that's the situation. The YMCA, you have less money, right? Because you're spending it on rent or mortgage.
Right.
They'll take your kid once you show documentation. That's the second thing. So you do your research. The second thing is be humble and be open. Don't cower in the face of saying, yo, listen, well, I only have $15 to my name. Yeah, but my kid is fed, or your house is fed, or your house is fed. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You're taking care of your business. It's supposed to be hard. This shit's supposed to be hard. Then from there, after that, while you're in that hardship, get your kid exposed to any and everything and allow them to make a decision. Like, I'll say this to my mom all the time. She'll say, "Oh, you need to do this." How many lives are you trying to live? Like, I have my own, you have your own. Like, you live yours. Don't tell me, respectfully, I'm gonna heed what you're saying, but don't tell me how to live mine. And don't try to make my decisions, because if it goes left, well, you didn't have to listen to me. Man, fuck you, bro. So at that point, so the third thing is
Respectfully.
Respectfully, Mom, I love you. And then after that, you go and then you just do the shit. So the first was the strategy. Once you get the research and all that piece together, then you get there, be humble, be open, and experience. You going to these places, you're not going to go out to eat and spend $100, $200, but you're going to find somebody's parent that has their kid in the same sport that yours is in, and you could converse. And what happens from that, you may move from a job to job just based on a relationship.
Yeah. Tap into your resources.
That's how this thing works. And we as people never want to do that. You have to get yourself out of the box. And after you move yourself out of the box, that's when the whole breakthrough comes through, because you're actually embracing something. And it comes back to what you said, that school of thought.
Yeah.
And it's not the one pinging thing.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, now you're flowing with the energy, and now it's like, okay, not all these things, but I'm bouncing the ideas off of you. I'm bouncing the ideas off of you. You never know who's going to be important to you.
Right.
Listen. And then from there, just live and let live.
Live and let live. Yep. Well, guys,
I appreciate y'all.
We appreciate you. It's been good. This was good, man.
We still don't know where the fuck we want to live.
We're becoming.
All right. You guys be great. Take your time out. Do us a favor. Please like, share, and click the link below. Please subscribe.
Comment.
And
Let
we
us know
really
what you
appreciate
think.
it.
Yes.
Be good.